Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of the Partnership Guys podcast. Today, we're going to talk about what we like to call decision domains. Our decision domains are really areas of responsibility and authority for each partner. It's a part of the business, whether that could be finance or sales or operations or whatever the case may be for your business, where you have control over the decisions in that area or in that domain. Decision domains are not like the end all and be all of your decision making. You will want to be involved in all areas of the business, but somebody needs to be in charge of each area, or else you're going to end up, really kind of stepping on each other's toes as you run and operate the business. So decision domains are. Go ahead, Todd.
I was going to say, to that point, right? If more than one person's accountable, nobody's accountable. Somebody needs to be accountable to making sure those decisions are being made, not in a vacuum. Stephen, Rob, and I, we all confer, but ultimately the accountability and the final decision will come down to the person who owns that particular decision domain. Otherwise, stuff doesn't get done. We see it all the time. We split everything. Nobody's doing anything.
I think it's also important that everything starts with the trusting your partner to handle what's in their decision domain the way that they handle things and to support that handling. And that's really hard to do. It's hard for all of us to do. We like to do things a certain way. Obviously, for the most part, we're doing things a certain way because we think that's the right way to do it. But other people have different ways of handling things and different ways of doing things. And so in their decision domain, it's really important to support not only what they're doing, but how they're doing it and support it in the way that is best to their personality and the way they're comfortable handling things.
It seems really counterintuitive, right? To give up control over an area. It feels like, you're losing control of your business, because as an entrepreneur, we naturally want to try to control everything. And by giving up control over certain areas of your business, you're actually gaining more control over the business, over the partnership, and over really your entire life. And when Todd and I first started working together 25 plus years ago, we had a couple of different businesses and we were each doing everything in the business. And we realized pretty quickly that meant that two things were happening. Number one, we were not doing anything particularly well. And number two, that we were kind of stepping on each other's toes and we were getting in each other's way. And, Todd can share more on this, but pretty much we kind of divided up the two businesses on domains or operations or areas. And then we each took those areas and were responsible for those.
Yeah, we picked domains that we were probably had a little more skill in than the other partner, or more desire, or got more fun out of it. That's what it's about. Like, enjoy yourself. You'll produce better if you're enjoying yourself. So we started to work on trying to figure that out, right? Because we were doing everything for both business, for the multiple businesses. And to your point, we were stepping on each other. We were duplicating efforts, which was a huge waste of time. And we're like, so when we talked about it, we figured that this was the best way to go. And I think we 5x'd within that year, I think, at least, just because we were able to start getting more narrow focused on stuff. We both had the ability to make the decisions and do the work for each, but some stuff, I might have not liked doing, so I'm probably not doing it the best, or vice versa.
We actually started enjoying what we were doing.
Yeah.
Which is really important. It's hard to do things well that you don't enjoy doing. It's hard to put the passion that's needed to run a business, to lead people, when you're not supported in the path that you're taking together. And it gets hard. It gets very hard to watch, even to allow, these are business decisions. There's pros, there's cons. Very few of the decisions are 100%. They're, you weigh the pros and the cons and you do the best you can. And then guess what? You have to sometimes live with consequences that are, in hindsight, I should have made a different decision. And as partners in dealing with those consequences and what it is, it's, it's really important that you're aligned and that I know we're all trying to make the best decision for the business didn't work out, and let's figure this out together.
Yeah,
The more support giving each other instead of, the pointing fingers or things like that. And that's what I see as we talk to partnerships that are struggling is once the finger pointing starts, and that's when it starts to red flag of going downhill.
and hence the coming this with trust and respect. If I make a decision that doesn't necessarily pan out the way we thought, it's not you did this wrong. It's like, okay, we made this decision. How do we not make the same mistake, or how do we help ourselves from not, putting ourselves in that situation again? And there's for us, I mean, there's no finger pointing at this point. We own each other's decisions, each other's wins, each other's losses, but we've seen it a lot where people automatically just start, what you did this, we're in here because of you, and that's a disaster waiting to happen.
And some of that happens because people think that if they have control over something, they don't need to bother with soliciting advice or information or whatever from their partner who's not supposed to be involved in that area. I mean, one of the areas that I've had responsibility for over the years has been marketing. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone to Todd or, anybody else of our other partners in the other businesses to get advice on what they think I should do or how they think I should handle something. And it doesn't mean that I always take the advice, but it helps to keep lines of communication open and helps to keep everybody engaged in the entire business. But at the same time, it's not about trying to find the lowest common denominator to make a decision in an area, right? That you always end up at the worst spot, right? You want to try to do what's best for the business, not what's going to be the most agreeable to all the partners.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there with keeping the lines of communication open. It's not, this is my decision and stay in your lane and I'll do what's in my decision domain the way I do it and don't even ask me questions about it. It's the opposite. This is what I'm thinking and this is what I'm thinking of doing and hearing feedback. And that's what we love about partnerships is that we get to bounce things off of our partner when we're living in that world of a trust and respect and understanding that we, are aligned in a lot of different ways and having that ability to say, hey, I just want to run something through you that I'm thinking about doing in my decision domain. Having that partner that you can trust, that has the best interest, I'll support you in whatever you decide. But hey, this is from my experience, what I've seen, what I do. But what's really important is whatever decision you make, I'm with you 100%. I want that decision to work out, even if it was something that I, in theory, thought there was a better course for. I want to be wrong. I want you to be right because that's what's best for our business. And sometimes it gets very hard to be able to do that.
Yeah, when ego creeps in, that's when problems happen, right? So you really have to work on, or we found that you need to work on reducing that ego, eliminating the ego so you can take feedback from people. You can get off your soapbox and go ask them for their opinion. But just because, again, you're accountable, you're responsible, you own that decision domain, does not mean that you can dismiss everybody else. It's just not healthy, right? That's how you have to keep the communication lines open.
It also means that, and a way to keep communication lines open is that it's okay for me to go to one of my partners and talk to them about something that they're doing in their decision domain. And you don't come to it with a critical mindset or a mindset that's ego driven. You come at with a curiosity mindset, please tell me more about why you did it that way. I don't understand. Right. And it gives them an opportunity to kind of rethink what they did in a way that's collaborative and not critical. And so it's okay to ask questions and to be curious about what they're doing. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to make that decision and own that responsibility.
Absolutely. With the support of the other person that, this is the path we're choosing. We're in this together and doesn't matter how we got to this decision. I'm in 100% and we're both going to deal with any consequences, good, bad, and the ugly together. And, moving forward as a, collective, it just helps the business. It just makes everything so much.
Yeah, we were working with a client not too long ago and got to this point where we had to figure out the decision domains and working on exercises with them around that. And they were very unsure how to figure that out, right? Because they've all been making the decisions together for years. And a lot of people think that what you want to do is you want to just kind of put your entire org chart up there and start putting your name in different boxes. In reality, what you want to do is completely flatten that org chart, right? You want to just have basically columns for each area of the business and then start to talk about what's involved in that area and who's going to be responsible for making decisions in that area. And then on a regular basis, in the beginning especially, communicate what you're doing in that area and why. And eventually, and it doesn't take too long, you'll start to see that you're going to begin to trust your partner in that area, and you're going to feel okay kind of stepping away a little bit.
All right, so my decision domain for this particular call and podcast is about portrait orientation on the camera.
Is that me? Is that me?
Yeah, you're sideways now, pal.
Yeah, I'm going to get this right.
It's okay. I know it. There you go.
There we go.
Nailed it, buddy. Nailed it. You know,
do you have any, Todd or Rob, can you think of any situations where we've talked to people and there's been disagreements within a decision domain and there was, challenges with decisions that somebody made and kind of how they did that in both a positive and a negative way?
Yeah, for me, it was, it's the one bad partnership I had that led to, 10-year lawsuit. It was just a constant, the exact opposite of what we're talking about. It was a constant pointing fingers at mistakes that were being made, and we would talk things out, and it seemed like it was getting better and that would be more aligned. But then, like we said, businesses and running them, or there's ups, there's downs, there's hard decisions that are made, and when that next hard decision was made and it didn't work out, I felt very much so that the finger was being pointed at me. It was my fault that it didn't work out. There were things that I did wrong. I was accused of things that were hurtful. And then guess what? I started to do the exact same thing. I started to look for and hope for the things that were in his domain. I didn't even realize I was doing it. The things that he was doing, I was hoping wouldn't work out. And so then I could say, hey, you're doing stuff that doesn't work out too. And again, just red flags of running a business and not being aligned with goals and things that we want out of life. And, it's all hindsight, but I didn't even realize, because like I always talk about, the business was there, the money was rolling in, people liked what we were doing. We were doing important work, putting solar panels on people's houses. And I really believed in not only the values of it, but the financial aspects of it. And we really did have a great business. It's just all failed because we failed as partners and not giving each other the respect to handle the decisions we were making and letting each other go down those lanes. We started to root against each other. And again, all looking back at it, clear red flags there for not a good partnership and not a good business, just because the money was rolling in.
Once you start going tit for tat or hoping that the other partner has hiccups and mistakes, you need to be talking to somebody about this, because you're now on a slide down to the bottom.
Yeah, and the way we've kind of avoided that tit for tat has really been about recognizing the partner's work, right? And even if it's little, something not even that important, but just a quick attaboy or thank you for doing that or good job.
You handled that great. Like, how did you even think of that? Just a lot of stuff. I mean, we toil over these things sometimes internally, and you don't know if you're making the right decision. You don't. So it's really key to kind of let people know that you see what they're doing and that you appreciate it.
It's that imposter inside of every one of us, right? And sometimes it's helpful to hear from your partner, because your employees are not going to say anything. They don't know. But it's
There's
good
times
to hear
I'll be one of your guys' biggest cheerleaders to people. I'm like, oh, this is great. I was like, yeah, all Rob on this one. All Steve, nailing it,
And to the opposite, if in a good partnership, if there's a decision that's made that doesn't doesn't go right, it's, in a good partnership, it's the opposite. The other partner is saying, hey, it's not your fault. It's my fault too. I knew what was going on and I didn't see it, and don't beat yourself up. And we're moving forward. It's picking up the other person. And that person is like, no, I appreciate you saying that, but I'm learning from it, and it's all right. We're growing together, and let's move forward. And next decision, hopefully it'll be right. And sometimes it's not, and the same kind of process over again of, hey, we're in this together, thick and thin, ups, downs, that, all businesses go through. And that's why we love being entrepreneurs. And that's why we love being in, great partnerships, is having that ability to bounce things off of our partners, even in our decision domain.
I mean, mistakes and bad decisions happen. I'm a firm believer, you got to take some swings, and not all those, some of our strikeouts. And I'm affecting the team, but the team does not stop supporting me on that. They know where it's coming from and why we're doing it. And it's you need a little bit of a pat on the back, even when bad things happen too, because otherwise it's very easy to slide and to not want to take any more risks. And then that's when you get flat. That's when it gets mundane. That's when you start to slide. The mistakes aren't bad. I'm not saying mistakes are bad. They're critical in growth.
But that's one of the reasons why you want to have a strong partnership is in those times, right? It's when you make a mistake. It's when you do something that costs the business money, whatever, that you've got somebody there that can say, you know what, you screwed up. Situation isn't exactly the way we want it, but I got your back, and we're going to fix this together. If you're not in a good partnership, it's going to be worse. It'll be 10 times worse.
That's fodder for the eventual dissolution of the partnership. It all becomes, a tool for that.
And it's hard
100%.
to mask a bad partnership. It's hard to then go to customers' houses and, in some kind of united way and say, hey, I'm responsible for this, and my business partner is responsible for this. If the two of you are not united, and believe me, customers started to see it, employees, contractors, they all started to see it, and no different than they see it in a great partnership. They want to be a part of it. They want to work with you. They want to, do well for you. When we are aligned, and then all of our people will follow. And I can tell you, the one time that I had a partner that we were obviously not aligned with, everybody saw that also.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yep.
Yeah, they definitely see it.
I didn't know that. As we were going through it, I didn't know that, because we were masking it, but they knew it. They knew it. Whether it was, people not working the same way, not being inspired, whether it was customers, people saw it. And, again, all looking back, and it was a relatively short period of time, 6 months, 9 months in total that we were in business. But, in looking back at it, the signs were all there.
Yeah, it's not unlike personal relationships either, right? When somebody is putting on a happy face for a failing marriage, right? You just pick up that energy. People do the same in business partnerships too. And then it becomes a repellent. Who wants to be involved in that? Who wants to be brought in on that? If you guys aren't aligned, it's indication that you are going to be having some problem.
Right. And just to kind of, bring it back to the beginning here, having clear decision domains for each partner and respecting those decision domains and trusting your partner in their domain is what actually helps to build a strong partnership, right? Questioning them, looking at them critically is what breaks a partnership apart. And so we are firm believers and practicers of having clear decision domains for each one of us in our businesses.
All right. This was great.
Yeah.
I love decision domains. I really do. I love the name. I love the idea of them. And I love to be sharing it with everybody. This is great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.